Okay, so let's get started, guys. So I'm Rahul. So I'll be the one who'll be taking all your Selenium sessions. So in this training, we'll be covering both Selenium and Core Java. So Core Java will be covered from scratch, and the Core Java part is taken by a different instructor. So he is Mr. Ajay. So he's already have taken a lot of Java batches over here. So he'll be one who will be building up your base for the programming, the basic programming that is core Java, and then I'll be covering the entire automation Selenium and the live projects and end-to-end frameworks. All these things I myself will be covering. So as far as my experience is concerned, I'm having over 15 plus years of experience in software testing itself. I'm into automation from past more than 10 years, where I've worked on various automation tools, QTP, UFT, Selenium, and then Cypress, and then Protractor, Playwright. So a lot of automation tools I've worked with. I've handled automation teams as well, built worked with various groups where I've design frameworks, and I'm into corporate trainings as well. I've delivered many trainings in Delhi, NCR, in Bangalore, and Mumbai, in New York to a company called as Shutterstock.com, in Seattle to Spoken Communications. So, majorly my experience is in automation itself. So that is pretty much about me. So I believe most of you are from testing background itself. Anyone from development or a different background? So before that, let me tell you about this Zoom session. This should be a two-way communication. So it's not like only I'll be talking in the entire session. So I want these sessions to be very interactive. So you guys can unmute yourself from your end, and you can ask any questions, any queries that you have. And the other thing, in case you don't want to unmute yourself, you have a chat option available. You can just post your questions, your queries in the chat box, and I'll be looking at the chats and we'll gonna revert you back. All right. So so what I asked is, like, I hope all of you are from the manual testing background, or like the automation, or anyone from dev background or any other background.
Hi, sir.
Hi,
Nashar
Nashar.
Sadiq here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not in the background of testing.
Okay.
I'm in, operations in Cognizant, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
part of cat molding team.
Okay. Okay. That's great. How about other guys?
Hey, hi, Ravi.
Yeah. Hi.
I'm from testing background only, Ravi.
Okay. You're from
Already,
test.
I'm working in manual testing, and I'm having almost 5 years of experience in manual
Okay.
testing.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
Yeah, hello, sir. Sir, I have 3+ year in manual testing experience.
Okay. That's great.
Hi, Rahul. Azmut this said, I have around 10 years of experience as a QA.
Okay. That's great. That's great. So most of the answers I'm getting is from testing background itself. So that's really great. So yeah, mostly people from manual testing, they want to move into automation, and the first thing that we learn is Selenium, right? Okay, and other thing, like, we have mixed audience today. So there are some people who have already gone through the core Java sessions, and now they are about to start with the Selenium part. And there are many people who recently joined us, and now they are starting from the day one of this Selenium Java. So like today, we'll not gonna go very much in depth into the programming part. We're gonna understand the concept of automation Selenium basically. We'll see how to configure it, what all requirements are there, and what level of programming that is actually required to work on Selenium. So is it like very complex programming, like the development level programming that is required? Because most of us are from the testing background, and like we chose testing because we are somewhere little bit afraid of writing code. So to be very honest, in Selenium, it's not like you need to write a development level of code. The programming that you need to know is the basic level of programming. Be it any language you choose Python, you choose Java, you choose C Sharp, you just need to understand the core concepts of programming. And these core concepts you might have studied during your schooling time, your graduation time, like you must have done C, C++, basic Java, where you might have studied if, else, loops, arrays, basic oops concept. So this is what is we are going to use in Selenium, right? We are not going to use any advanced part of the programming. Like if we talk about Java, we are not going to work on advanced Java, right? So only basic understanding of the language is required, and that also you need not to worry about it, because we'll be, once we start with the Java part, we'll be starting with ABC of Java. So all these basic concepts will be covered from the scratch. So is there anyone in the session who has never ever touched any programming? I mean, I'm not saying that you have worked on programming, but you have never studied. So anyone who have never studied? Could be long time back. That's fine. With programming, it is like if you don't practice programming for 6 months, you forget all the concepts. But I hope everyone must have gone through some of the programming language during your graduation, schooling, or maybe you might have studied it on your own. Is there anyone who has never touched any programming? You can type it in the chat box as well, and you can send a personal message to me as well if you don't want to disclose it to everyone. But that should be fine. Okay, so I can see that every one of you have like studied some of the programming in your life, right? So that's fine. I mean, even if you're not aware of these concepts, we'll be starting everything from scratch. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about the programming part at all, right? So let's say before we get started with the training, let me show you the content that we are going to cover in this training. So this is the PDF. I'll be sharing this PDF with you after the session. So after the session, will be like I'll be creating a new WhatsApp group for this batch, and a fresh meeting invites will be generated for both core Java as well as the Selenium sessions, which will be forwarded to you by next week itself. So the sessions will be over the weekends, every Saturday and Sunday. So timings will gonna remain the same. So sessions will be Saturday, Sunday from 8 p.m. IST till 10, or you can say some session might be of 1.5 hours, some session will be of 2 hours, depending on the topic that we are covering. Right, so classes will be Saturday, Sunday, and total duration of this course will be around 3.5 months. At least this much time it is going to take to cover all the topics. So initial, you can say 6 weeks it's gonna take to cover the Java part, and around 7 weeks it's gonna take to cover the Selenium part. So this is how it will be divided. Yeah, I'll be sharing the syllabus at the end of the session. I'm gonna share it with you. So this is how we'll be starting with. We're gonna understand the basics of Selenium, and then we're gonna deep dive into the core Java programming part. Then we're gonna see all the latest features of Selenium, the latest version of Selenium. So, and we'll cover all the basics, advanced topics. So there's the whole big list, right? We're gonna study all the various locator strategies that you must have heard about, XPath, CSS. We'll try to like write the entire locator strategies from scratch, right? And then if I go a little down, you'll see that there are some CDP features which are introduced in the latest version of Selenium. So we're gonna discuss about those CDP features. What are these CDP features? So this is basically Chrome DevTool protocol feature. Guys, just give me a moment. A student is calling. Maybe he's trying to join but not able to join. Just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. So yeah, then we'll be studying the TestNG framework in depth. We're gonna use various utilities like extent reporting, database connection, then reading Excel file, logging. We're gonna implement login and automated emails. Then we're gonna see some remote execution using Selenium Grid. We're gonna see some of the DevOps tools like Dockers, Jenkins, CI, and then Maven. We're gonna integrate our test Selenium test with AWS Cloud, and we're gonna do some execution on AWS as well. And then we'll be working on 2 live projects from scratch. So it's not like I'll be picking up some of my company's project and gonna explain it to you. I'll be designing the entire framework from scratch in front of you. Each and every single line of code I'll be writing in front of you, so that you should be able to get a real-time exposure. And after going through these topics, after going through the live projects, you should be capable enough that if you're coming from a manual testing background, if you have 2 years, 3 years of experience, you can try justifying the entire experience in automation easily. And then you can try switching on the job. You can try start applying for interviews, because we'll try to handle each and every feasible element on the web, and you'll be capable enough to automate any website on your own with the strategies that we are going to study in the course, right? And along with this, so we'll be recording all the live sessions. So this is where we'll be hosting all the sessions. So most of you must have account on this. So you just need to go log in with your account, go to my, here you're going to see my courses, and you must have access to all these courses. So these are all related to automation, DevOps, API testing, mobile testing, performance testing, even the manual testing basic concepts. So you can also go through with different languages, like Python is there, JavaScript, TypeScript, and then C# is there. This DevOps detailed courses is there, right? There are some courses where we are running the live sessions as well, and most of them, these are like 30 plus courses over here. So most of them you'll see in a form of a detailed video library. It's not like if you go to any particular video library, you're going to see just the basics of that particular course. It's a complete detailed course. Even if you see this particular Selenium course, you're going to see like more than 100 hours of recordings. You're going to find it over here. It's a very in-depth course that you're going to find, right? So any particular course that you want to study, you want to do a self-paced study, you can simply pick that course during the weekdays and you can do a self-study, right? And during the weekends, almost all the batches are over the weekends only. So live sessions, you'll be joining it over the weekends only, right? But the best part is that since all these courses, most of the people are already enrolled in our lifetime membership program, so you need not to pay anything to access these courses. You need not to pay anything to attend the live batches. We recently started a new live batch of mobile automation APM. So I guess yesterday was the very first session of that batch. So if you want, you guys can parallelly attend mobile automation as well as the UI automation. And like within the span of 3.5 months, you should be able to easily cover these 2 courses in the live batch, right? Because APM is similar to Selenium only. If you know Selenium, APM is basically a wrapper over Selenium WebDriver, right? So you should be able to work on APM and automate things over the mobile devices, the real devices like Android device, iOS device. So that is what APM is for, right? But APM, the base is Selenium itself. So parallelly, if you are attending Selenium APM, you should be able to cover both topics, because we are running both at a different timings. Like the Selenium is running at 8 p.m. and APM is running at 8 a.m. India time. So you should be able to attend both. And if I know there are some people attending from UK and Europe, so 8 a.m. time zone might not work for them. So you need not to worry about it, because like if you parallelly go through these recordings, like as we are running in a batch, and then if you parallelly start going through these recordings, you'll be added to the WhatsApp group. Whatever queries, doubts you have, you can simply post it in the WhatsApp group and you get response from the trainer. So all your queries will be resolved easily, right? And trust me, if you try going through this session, you'll feel like that you're taking a live session only, right? Because this is the exact same session which was conducted live. So you're not going to miss any topic, right? And next batch will we try to conduct it in the evening time for APM, so that people from UK, Europe can also attend this training. Right. So any questions, any doubts that you guys have before we get started with Selenium? Anything you want to discuss?
Rahul, I have one question. Can you please cover the BDD Cucumber also along with the Selenium?
BDD Cucumber in live session, we actually cover it in the API training. So Cucumber remains the same, no matter whether you use it with APM, you use it with Selenium, or you use it with API. So live batch, we cover it with your API part. But like as I said, it is already there in Selenium as well. If you like, once we go through the two live projects using page objects and data driven page factory, after that you can follow my Cucumber course. So that is actually designed by me only. So same framework you're gonna get like with integration with Selenium as well. So this Cucumber. So if you follow it, very simple. Cucumber is very simple. You should be able to follow these instructions easily. And for any doubts, you can get back to me for any assistance that you require.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, because see,
Rahul, I have a question.
Selenium itself is quite huge, and whatever that we are going to cover in 3.5 months, if we try to cover all the topics, feasible topics in Selenium, then it will be a never-ending training, right? So there are so many things in Selenium. So in the live sessions, what we try to cover is we try to build up your base for automation, so that you should at least start working on a project. You should be familiar with what frameworks are. You should be able to automate anything easily. And then further, more topics you want to add, everything is available in the videos. So you can just try going to that particular topic, whichever that you are studying, and you should be able to implement it because your base is built up. So you can keep on adding more and more things easily. Right. Okay. Any more topics? Any more questions?
So
One
we will
more
be
thing.
getting chance to work on any live project as well,
Yes.
Rahul?
Yes. We'll be working on it.
Okay, thank you.
So if we parallelly check the videos for APM and Selenium, we'll be able to any benefit for us like if we do simultaneously.
Mhm. See,
What
even for APM, even for Selenium, your little bit base of core Java should be developed. If you know basics of Java, yes, you can follow both in parallel.
okay.
Right? Because APM we just started, right? If you know Java, if you don't know Java, then I would recommend that during the weekdays, just try to go through the previous batch core Java recordings, because there are like 10 to 12 sessions. If you try to at least cover up the initial 5 6 sessions, then you should be able to write a little bit of code, and then understanding APM is should be very simple, right? But yes, you should be knowing like what is Eclipse, how to write code, how to run code, right? What are classes, what are objects, what are basic syntaxes of Java. If you're familiar with these things, then only you'll be able to understand APM. Otherwise, you'll not be able to write APM code.
Understood. Understood.
Sure. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, one of the question, I have 3+ years experience in manual and API testing. So this is good time. Absolutely. I mean, if we talk about manual testing, so there's a saturation point in the industry. If you are just having manual experience, there are people who do mobile testing manually. There are people who do API testing manually, right? But these days, if you're trying to apply for any interviews, the like very first prerequisite you may gonna see in a lot of openings that you should have knowledge of Selenium. You should have understanding of different automation tools, right? Even if you're applying for a manual testing interview, Selenium is like a prerequisite because competition has grown so much, right? And so many things are going around technology that manual testing, just having manual testing experience, your CV might not gonna get shortlisted. So you have to have automation understanding because profiles are actually converted into SDET, that is software development engineering test. So just by having manual experience, it is very difficult to survive in the industry. Right? Okay. Any more questions? Yes, we'll be starting a new batch of API automation soon. So you can go through that API testing part. But before you start with API, first build up your base around the UI automation like Selenium, and then go for the API part. But in case you want to learn it on your own as well, then you can go through this previous live session recording. So the complete detailed training around API, manual, Postman, and then rest assured, everything is available, including this Cucumber, BDD, and the live projects over here. Right. Anything?
Rahul, I have one question. So nowadays, the playwright is getting into the market, right? So
Yeah.
do you think that the Selenium will be obsolete in future by the playwright?
See, Selenium is there in industry for more than like 10 years. So it's not like Selenium will be replaced by any tool, right? Playwright has its own advantage. Selenium is like almost like evergreen. So it's like Selenium, you can say it's like Google. And now if Chat GPT and other things are coming, so they're not going to replace Google. Google will still be there, right? Same way, Selenium demand will still be there, but Playwright is something like if you are good in Selenium, you should be able to adopt Playwright within a month,
Okay.
right? So you should be
Okay.
able to, because Playwright, Selenium, all these are like, if we talk about Java, then if you know Selenium with Java, you can work on Playwright with Java as well, easily.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Nasha.
Is there manual content uploaded over the
Yeah,
website?
manual detailed training lectures are here. So you just go to this particular course. This is a very, very detailed live training on manual. Just follow this particular thing. So you're gonna see very detailed topics covered.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna get certificate once you complete that training. In some company API testing done by dev. It's not, is it not? No, no, it's not like that. I mean, testing part, see, development level testing is something different. If a developer is developing any API, so he might be doing some unit testing around it, right? But developer cannot test his own code, right? So he cannot find bugs in his own code. That is the only reason why testers are there. So most of the companies, they have their API testing team as well. They have their UI testing team as well. And these days, the frameworks are developed in such a way that both UI and API can be handled in the same project. Right, so it's not like the API testing demand is in development only. In automation, it's there's a huge demand for API testing. All these API testing, UI testing, APM mobile automation testing, all these are in very much demand everywhere. And for all this, the base is your programming part. You can say you're getting started with Selenium, so you are building up your base around automation. So Selenium is like a base for any automation part. If you know Selenium, you should be able to work with the API part as well. You should be able to work with the mobile automation part as well. Just you need to add more libraries. That's it. Right. So let's start with the training and let's first understand why Selenium is like a base for any automation thing. What exactly Selenium is. Right. So very first thing, what is Selenium? Anything and everything that you know about Selenium, just let me know. Anything.
Open source.
It's an open source. Open source what?
Open source framework. Open source tool, sir.
Open source framework, open source tool.
It
For
helps to automate web application.
Web application.
web application automation testing. For only web application automation testing. Right. Only why only? Because Selenium can only automate websites, web pages. So what all other testing areas are there? The UI automation or apart from the web automation, what all other areas are there?
Window.
Guys, please put yourself on mute. There's background noise coming as well. Yeah. So apart from UI automation, what other areas are
Windows
there?
application.
Sorry?
Desktop
Windows
application.
application.
Desktop or the Windows application. Okay. What else?
API.
Correct. API as in the web services. Anything else?
Database.
Database. Correct. What else? Any other
Performance.
area where you have performed testing on? Apart-
Performance.
Performance is a non-functional testing. So like performance could be done on UI, could be done on API, right? So performance, functional. So all these can be done on these areas, right? Mobile, correct. So mobile apps, right? Like it could be iOS, it could be Android, it could be Windows phone. Any other area where you must have done manual testing? I guess majorly these are the areas, right, where we generally perform testing. Be it we do manual testing or be it we do automation testing, right? But these are the major areas where we perform testing. So UI automation, we have already seen that we use Selenium for it. Any other automation testing tool that you know might be the competitor of Selenium?
Yeah, QTP.
QTP? QTP is renamed as UFT now, right? UFT is
But
there.
it is a licensed one, right?
Yeah, this is a licensed one. So very first thing we talked about open source, like Selenium is open source. What open source means that there is no license required to work on Selenium. It's completely free of cost. Whereas if we talk about QTP, UFT, a company has to pay a heavy license to like use this tool, right? So these days, many companies are moving towards the open source platform. So they need not to pay anything to write a code and to automate their websites or to automate other applications as well. So if same thing can be done using an open source tool, why would I pay for license, right? Why should I pay a very heavy cost to attain a license of that particular tool? So that is the reason These days you might see very less openings around UFT. But if you talk about Selenium, if you talk about Playwright, if you talk about other open source tools, you'll see n number of openings are there in automation for these tools, right? So most of the companies have already moved towards the open source platform, towards Selenium, towards Cypress, towards Playwright, right? So you'll hardly see openings around QTP UFT. But yes, there was a time when QTP UFT, like when Selenium was newly introduced in the market. At that point of time, QTP was like anything. If you talk about automation opening, then the very first thing that comes to anyone's mind is QTP. So QTP has a very great time, but now the time is over for QTP, time is over for UFT. So companies have already moved to Selenium, and cost is one of the reason, but cost is not the only reason. There are n number of other reasons why companies have chosen Selenium or other open source automation tools, right? So that reason is that Selenium, if we talk about Selenium, we mentioned that it's a tool. Selenium is not a tool. Like QTP is a tool, UFT is a tool, but Selenium is not a tool. Tool in the sense that with a tool, you get a exe file, you get a setup file, right? With QTP, you get a setup file which is like more than 1 GB. You double click on it, you install it on your machine, on your laptop. It provides your platform. You can do record and play. You can write script. You can do scripting. You can use multiple features of that tool, right? You can drag and drop things. There are a lot of things which is provided in that GUI tool. But if you talk about Selenium, we cannot install Selenium. There is no GUI in Selenium. You don't get a exe like you double click and install Selenium on your desktop. You cannot do that because Selenium is not a tool. So if it is not a tool, then what exactly Selenium is? It's basically a framework, or you can call it as a set of libraries. You can call it as a project, or you can call it as an API. So Selenium is basically an API. Now, what exactly is an API? We're gonna study about this in detail. But before that, we know that for UI automation, we have Selenium, we have QTP, we have Playwright available, we have Cypress available. Many automation tools are there, right? For desktop or Windows application, have you heard about any tool?
QTP UFT.
QTP UFT, correct. So QTP UFT can automate desktop applications as well, but Selenium cannot. Selenium is only for web-based application testing. But still companies are moving towards like Selenium, and they're not using QTP. So cost is not the only factor. The other thing is that these days you'll hardly find any desktop applications because most of the projects are on cloud now. It's a time of cloud computing, right? So with any project, like you can access it via URL on the web. So 90% of the applications are web-based, and Selenium can automate anything and everything available on the web. Right? Tosca, you are saying Tosca, but Tosca is again licensed one, right? So Tosca, I have not worked around much because I have majorly worked around the open source tools, right? So I'm not sure whether it supports desktop applications or not, right? Okay, what about API? Have you heard about any tool for API testing?
Rest assured.
Rest assured, Postman, rest assured, SOAP UI, right? So if we talk about Postman, this is majorly for manual testing, right? We can like manually send requests, get requests, and write a little bit script as well in the Postman tool. But this is again a tool. If we talk about automation, then we generally use REST assured. SOAP UI is another tool which supports both SOAP as well as the REST APIs. But majorly, if we talk about automation, then rest assured is being used. How about database? Database, we have like SQL, we have MySQL, we have Oracle, we have MongoDB, right? A lot of databases are there. Oracle, where we can write queries, we can write store procedures, right? And we can fetch data and can perform some level of database testing as well. How about mobile? For mobile APM, correct.
APM.
So APM is what is now very widely used in the industry for mobile testing. APM, right? So these are the areas and these are the majorly used tools around these areas. But if you talk about Selenium, so Selenium is only for UI automation. Selenium cannot automate these areas. If Selenium cannot handle these areas, Selenium is only for UI automation, then why Selenium is very popular? Why it is like a prerequisite these days? If we want to move into automation, the very first thing we need to learn is Selenium. So this is because, see, when you are moving into testing, which is the very first thing that you test? You start with manual testing, right? You start with manual testing. So what you do in manual testing? You test your websites, you test your web application, be it a banking domain, be it a health domain, be it a travel domain, a e-commerce domain. So most of the things are on the web-based. So you try writing manual test cases around those web applications. And that is what you need to automate. Right? Could you please share your website? So website is like waytoautomation.com. So this is the website. Right, so you get started with like UI automation, UI testing first. Be it a manual testing, you start with UI testing, you start writing test cases for web applications. Then you try to hit their APIs, then you try to hit their mobile part. Mobile, like these days, every big organization, they have their web application as well as their mobile applications. Right, so if you are traveling, let's say, you don't carry your laptop along with you everywhere. So you then generally when you want to purchase something, you use Amazon, you use Flipkart, you want to like book a travel ticket, you use Make My Trip, you use Expedia. There are different websites available for travel domains as well. So while you are traveling, so you don't carry laptop, you generally access these things on your mobile, right? You have different applications for it. So if testing a website is important, testing of mobile application is also important. Because on mobile, when we perform transaction, we enter credit card information, all the crucial information we provided in the mobile apps as well. So there has to be a proper testing done over there as well. And all these applications, they have their own APIs in order to perform communication, right? So proper API testing has to be done as well. And then the most crucial part is the data. The data could be coming from database. So you need to have a proper database testing as well. Right? But Selenium is for UI automation because we get started from the UI part first. That is the reason the prerequisite is you should be good in manual. If you're doing manual testing, then you start with UI testing. And same thing when you're automating it, you're using Selenium for UI automation. So that is the reason why Selenium comes first into the picture. Right? And Selenium is the first very popular open source tool. And after Selenium, there are hundreds of automation tools that were created and published by different organizations just in order to compete Selenium. So if you talk about Playwright was introduced few years back itself, just to give a good competition to Selenium. What all challenges that people might have faced in Selenium related to some synchronization parts, related to other areas. So they have tried to like cover up these things in Playwright and have made a more robust automation tool or an API. And this was actually developed by Microsoft, right? And if you talk about Selenium, Selenium was actually created by a different organization. Anyone know who created Selenium? Who came up with Selenium? Which company's project is Selenium? I hope everyone know who created QTP.
I think Mercury has created a Selenium.
Mercury, correct. And later on, HP has acquired it. Right? So same way, who created Selenium?
Jason Huggins.
Jason Huggins is the developer behind this Selenium. And he started this project in which year? Anyone know the history? He started this in around 2004. And he worked with which organization? Where he started this project?
ThoughtWorks.
Correct. The ThoughtWorks is the one which is behind this Selenium project. But it's an open source project. So later on, many big organizations have contributed into the development. If you talk about the next version of Selenium that, when he launched the Selenium, the very first version he launched is Selenium 1.0. And then Selenium 2.0 came into the market. And Selenium 2 was actually created to overcome the challenges of Selenium 1. Right? There were a lot of challenges in this project because this was the initial launch of Selenium. So these challenges were actually recognized by the person named as Simon Stewart. And he used to work as a lead developer at Google. So many Google developers have contributed into the development of this project. That is the reason why it is very popular. Not just Google, developers from Facebook, from Adobe, from big organizations have contributed into the development of Selenium project. Right? So after Selenium 2, now what is the latest version of Selenium?
Selenium 4.
Selenium 4, correct. So then after Selenium 2, Selenium 3 came into the market, and the release 2 went up to 2.53.1. So this is like a build number, right? And then 3 went up till 3.141.59. And then now they have launched the recent version, which is Selenium 4. And anyone knows which is the current version of Selenium? The build number, the latest one, which is launched in August itself.
4.0, 4.10.
No. Okay, before that, tell me the website of Selenium, the main website of Selenium, not 4.12. Which is the main website of Selenium? Tell me.
Selenium version is 3.23.1.
3.2, 3.1 or 4.2, 3.1?
Sorry, 4. Yeah, 4. Yes, sir, 4.
So which is the main website of Selenium?
Yeah, seleniumdev.org.
No, it's just selenium.dev. You're mixing two websites. So initial one, it was selenium in hq.org. Now they have moved to selenium.dev. So this is the official website of Selenium. So here it's written that Selenium automates browsers. That's it. Selenium is only for web-based testing. Anything and everything available on a web can be easily automated using Selenium. If you go to download, you'll see the latest version of Selenium is 4.23.1, which is released in August itself. Right, so this is the official website. There's a lot of things on this website. There's a whole good documentation available, what exactly Selenium is, what all different components. You can try going through this. If you want to go through some of the theoretical concepts, you can even try going through the brief history of this project, right? And before we go through all these things, but first tell me how many components are there in Selenium? How many components are there?
It's a 4.
4. What are those?
Yeah, RC, WebDriver.
WebDriver,
IDE.
IDE, IDE,
Sir, Grid.
grid. Correct. So these are the 4 components in Selenium, but these 4 components are not there in the latest version. So when Selenium was started in first version, you will see ID, RC, and grid 1. In 2.0, ID was there, RC was there, and then WebDriver came into the market, and then grid. In 3, we have ID, we have WebDriver, and we have grid 3. And now we have IDE, we have WebDriver, and grid with a new architecture. So this is what we have in Selenium 4. So we don't have any RC anymore in Selenium, right? RC was the very initial project, was a very small project. Now we have these components. And for the coding part, what we use is WebDriver. For record and play, like every automation tool has got some record and play functionality. Same way, Selenium also has a record and play feature. This is record and play of Selenium, record and play. But this is a very small plugin. If I show you this plugin, the plugin looks like this. Even if you go to the homepage of this website, see, we have WebDriver, we have IDE, and we have grid, right? So IDE looks like this. This is Selenium IDE. Now here you, let's say you click on record a new test in a new project. You need to give some project name. Let's say give it a name as Google project. Click on OK. Give some website http google.com. Click on start recording and you will see your browser is launched. Any action that you perform on this browser will be recorded. So if you type Selenium over here, if you click on Selenium, you click on this link, all the actions are being recorded. If you see over here, and after clicking on this link, if you close the browser, you'll see all the actions are being recorded. Now you can stop this test, give this test name as Google test, click on OK. And now what you can do, you can even play back this. You just run all tests and step by step, everything will be executed. All the tests are executed. Or what generally people do, they do record and play, and then they just click on this, click on export, select Java, see multiple languages are available, click on export and type any name and save this. You'll see a file created. I created with the name as Google. Where is that file? Just override it. Give me a moment. Let me give it a new name. Export, and new. And see this file is downloaded. If I open up this file, you'll see some code is showing over here. So what generally people do, they copy paste this code and try to add this code in editor and then try to run it and try to do some modification. But this code is not at all complex. Maybe it may look something like a very huge code to you if you're looking it for the very first time, but a person who know basic Java, this is a very simple thing for him. Like to get started with Selenium, this is a very, very simple thing. If I start writing code, you'll be able to understand it easily, step by step. So this is not at all a complex code that you have to do a record and play and then export it. You can write this code easily on your own as well, just by knowing the very basic concepts. And if I talk about ID, ID is not at all used in the industry because ID is just like a plugin. This is a very small plugin. It will not gonna have hundreds and thousands of features that can automate your entire website. You cannot automate your entire website using Selenium IDE. Just for the very basic record and play, you can use it. If you want to work on actual projects, then IDE is not at all used in the industry. This record and play is not at all powerful as compared to the record and play of QTP UFT. QTP UFT is a paid tool. They have invested a lot in their record and play functionality. Right. But still, companies are moving towards the coding part. They don't like the record and play feature. And there is a reason behind that. Because record and play, if we talk about QTP, as I say, Selenium is not a tool, it's a API, it's a framework. And QTP is a tool. Every tool has got some boundaries. Boundary as in that the tool must be created by some developers, right? And they might have created some 200 or 500 functionalities in that tool. 200, 500 features in that tool. Now you want to automate your website. You'll be using features from that tool. So while automating a website or while writing test cases for the website, we do a lot of permutation and combination, right? Even to write test cases for login window, we may end up writing 10, 20 test cases. So for all the test cases, it doesn't mean that there's a feature available in QTP which you can use and automate that particular functionality. Because 200, 500, these are limited features. If you have thousands of test cases, it doesn't mean for all the test cases you'll find a feature in QTP. So if a feature is not there, then what you'll do? You'll not be able to automate that test case. And you'll say that not 100% can be automated, right? So that is why we say, because the feature is not there in that tool. So what to do? We go to HP, we ask for add-ons. They sell their add-ons as well. And they charge for that. But again, add-on is also developed by a developer. If an add-on is not there, then we cannot automate that functionality. But this is not the case with Selenium, because Selenium is not a tool. There is no boundary to Selenium. There is no boundary. Selenium is not like a couple of features built up in a tool. It's not like that. Anything that is feasible in any programming language, let's say you are using Selenium with Java, anything that is feasible in Java, you can achieve that thing with Selenium. And Java is very wide. Anything you can achieve with Java, you can achieve it with Selenium. So that is what the power of Selenium is. So can you tell me a couple of features of Selenium? Anyone? What all features are there? We
Yes,
know
sir.
the components. What all the features are there?
Yes, sir, it's platform independent.
Platform independent. So it supports multi OS, multi platform. What all platforms?
Yeah, multi language support.
So if first we talk about platform, what all platforms it supports?
Like Linux, Windows,
Windows,
Windows, Linux, Mac, iOS, Solaris, Android, all major operating systems are supported by Selenium. Then if I talk about languages, you say multiple languages. What all language it supports?
Java,
Python, Ruby,
JavaScript,
Python, JavaScript,
C
C
sharp.
C#, right? PHP. All major languages are supported by Selenium. What else?
yeah, multiple browsers, sir.
Multi-browsers, correct. So what all browsers, like the old browser IE, then Edge, Chrome,
Oh,
Safari, and then
Firefox,
all major
Firefox.
browsers are supported by Selenium. If we talk about QTP, which language QTP supports? Which language QTP supports?
Is it VB?
It's VB script, just a scripting language, right? If you talk about VB script, on which operating system we can run VB script on? Sorry?
Windows.
Windows, correct. We can run, VB script is a project of Microsoft, and it runs only and only on Windows, right? So it means that if you're automating anything using QTP, then we can execute that thing only and only on Windows. But these days, client could be using Mac machine, client could be using Linux machine. Guys, there's a background noise coming. Please put yourself on mute. So client could use any operating system, any platform, right? But if we are using QTP, we can automate and execute it only on Windows. Whereas if we talk about Selenium, we have just seen what all languages Selenium supports. If we talk about just Java, if you have ever installed Java, the very first message that you're going to see is that 3 billion devices runs on Java. So Java is supported by almost every operating system, by Linux, by Windows, by Mac, by iOS, Android, all major operating systems supports Java. So if you're writing your Selenium code in Java, you can execute that code in any operating system that you want. And that too without any license. Right? Because the basic core Java part is open source. Selenium is open source. You can write the code free of cost, execute it on any machine without paying any license. So this is one of the best things about Selenium. You can execute it on any machine, use any browser, use any language you want. Multi-language support does not mean that if my website is built up in let's say PHP, then I'm learning Selenium with PHP. If it is built up in Python, then I'll learn Selenium with Python. No. The website like automation using Selenium is not language dependent. If we talk about any website, Selenium interacts with the HTML. Even if you talk about Google, if you talk about this website, the outer part is a HTML only. The business logic could be written in any language, but business logic is not visible when you are accessing the functionality of this website. So all these are HTML part. Selenium is going to interact with the HTML part of your website. No matter website is built up in any language, the UI is always a HTML part. Right? So multiple support means that let's say I'm coming from a Python background. Now I want to use Selenium. Why should I learn Java and then use Selenium? I know Python and Selenium binding, Selenium library is available in Python. I can access Selenium with Python. If I'm coming from C# background, I can use Selenium with C#. Complete Selenium is available in C#. That is what multi-language support means. Whichever language you're coming from, if you're a developer, you want to use Selenium, you need not to learn any new language to use Selenium. Selenium is available in all major language bindings, right? And most widely used is Java. Till date, 70% of the openings you'll find around Selenium with Java. And after Java, you'll see Python is also in huge demand these days. Python is in huge demand. C# is also in huge demand. But then you might be thinking that like if I want to use Python and now I'm learning Java, then it will be difficult for me to move on Selenium with Python. No, it's not like that. If you know Java, then 90% of the basic concepts remain same in Python as well. Because when you learn Java, you'll be learning if else, you'll be learning arrays, you'll be learning oops concepts. Same thing works with Python and same thing works with C#. Right? If you go to my portal, then I've created almost all the courses on different languages. So it's not like that if I know Java, I cannot work on JavaScript, I cannot work on Python, I cannot work on C#. I recently launched my new course on Selenium with C#. And trust me, Selenium, C# concepts are almost 95% similar to Java concepts. If you know basic Java, same syntax, you'll find it in C# as well. So after learning Selenium Java, if you want to migrate to Selenium C#, it may not gonna take more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get yourself migrated to Selenium C#. And same thing works with Python. So I've designed a course on Selenium Python as well. I've created a course on on JavaScript using Cypress, using Protractor. All the Protractor is now gone from the industry. So now Cypress is there, Playwright is there, but base is same. If you know Java, your base is developed, you can easily migrate your code. It may not gonna take more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks to migrate to another automation tool. Right? So developing a base with any language, like if you're using Java as well, it is very simple. It's not like you need to write a very lengthy code in Java and you need to write a less code in Python. The syntax might be little less, but the logics will remain same. If you're using if else in Java, it's not like you need to use a different approach in Python. If else remains same in Python, if else remains same in Java, basic oops concept remains same. Just that basic syntax is different in Python and Java, but the logics are same, right? So
I don't
that's
ask
what,
this.
yeah.
The coding in Java is not more than when
Sorry?
you are coding in Java, when you are doing the code, writing the code.
Mhm.
It's not more with Java and than Cypress.
See, Cypress only supports JavaScript and TypeScript.
Now I'm talking about the volume of code you're going to write.
The Java code will not work in Cypress.
Is it not going to be more in Java? And also too, is there support for the editor? I know that in Cypress, when one is coding, there's some kind of
Cypress
plugin.
has got a different editor. Cypress has got a different editor. Java code, we can write it in Eclipse, you can write it in IntelliJ, but for Cypress, you'll be needing Visual Studio Code.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So that's what I was saying. I mean, multi-language supports that you can learn any language and you can work on Selenium. Whereas if we talk about Qtb, it supports only VB-script, and that also it runs only on Windows. So this is one of the best thing about Selenium. It has got a multi-platform support, multi-language support, right? And the other thing, what is the benefit if it is not a tool, if it is a framework, it's an API. So there are no boundaries to this tool. There are no boundaries to this project. Anything that is feasible in Java, in Python, in JavaScript, you can integrate, you can write that code, you can integrate it with Selenium and can achieve that particular functionality. Right. So Selenium library, let's say, what is a library? What is this project? So this project is basically a collection of some code only. And what the code consists of? The code consists of, if we talk about any language like Java, the code consists of multiple classes, multiple functions. Functions we call as methods in Java. It's a combination of interfaces, packages, and number of things. Whatever that we write, data members, your variables, your all these things, whatever comes in coding. So Selenium is basically a collection of that project only. So they're going to give away the code that they have written. And you just need to consume those classes. And they have already created everything. It's not like you'll be creating a new class and then you're going to write a code to click on a button, to click on a link, and to automate anything. They have done all the hard work. They have already created the complete library. You just need to call these classes, these methods, and automate your website. So that is what Selenium is. And while calling these classes, you'll be writing a basic Java code. So when you write that code, if some functionality is not there in that Selenium library, then you can add your own Java code and create that particular functionality to handle that thing on the website. So that is how the integration works. I mean, if we talk about Selenium, we talked about these components, ID, RC, WebDriver, Grid. These are just 25% used in your automation. If we talk about a framework, if we talk about a live project, then we are going to use these components only 25% whenever we are working in an automation project. So what are the rest 75% of things? What are the other things that we integrate with Selenium? Core Java is used, yes. Apart from this,
SNG or JUnit.
TestNG, JUnit. So what are these things? These are testing frameworks. What else?
CI/CD like Git, Jenkins.
Jenkins. It's a
Maven.
Maven. What is Maven? Maven is a build tool or a dependency management tool. What else?
Anything for reports? Showing
Reports. So reporting, we use a lot of things. We have extend reports. We have Allure reports. We have report ng, right? A lot of reporting frameworks are there. What else?
jar files.
Sorry?
Jar files.
Jar files. So jar files, as in for all these things, we have jars available. What else? We use logging, right? We generate logs for each action using some log4j API. We use POI API if you want to do Excel
Apache plugins.
reading, writing, right? So yeah, this is by Apache POI. We do AWS cloud integration, right? Where we can run our code on the cloud machine. So a lot of things are there that is actually used while you're creating up an automation framework. And Selenium is just 25%. So Selenium, these things are not in the Selenium project. Selenium library does not consist of all these TestNG Jenkins. They have nothing to do with Selenium. But without using these things, you cannot create an automation framework. Right? So if you are using any language, these things are like, if I talk about TestNG, JUnit, these are Java frameworks. Similar to this, if you are using C#, you have NUnit library available. If you are using Python, so instead of TestNG, JUnit, you will be using a PyTest framework. Jenkins will work with all the languages. Maven is for Java only. For C#, we have a different thing, something called as a nugget package. In Python, we have pip. So different languages, different build tools, and different dependency management tools are available. But whenever you're creating an automation project, you should be practically using all these things. Without just learning IDE, without just learning WebDriver, you cannot create an automation framework. So that is the reason I said that only 25% of Selenium is used in your automation. And rest, all these things, you can say these are some things related to Java that you need to be knowing. So we'll be covering all these things in depth as well, right? So not only in our automation course, there are some tools like Jenkins, Maven, this AWS cloud. We have a detailed DevOps course as well. So if you go through this DevOps as well, we are planning to start it next month. So this is DevOps training. So DevOps training, this training is not only for DevOps engineer. These days, if you are going for automation jobs as well, then like Maven, Jenkins, Docker, these things are asked in automation interviews as well. So this course is specially designed, which is actually covering all these things that we are using in automation for the DevOps part in depth. So that you should be having detailed understanding of how Docker works, how you do AWS cloud integrations, all these things it's already available over here in the detailed DevOps course. So this is what the integration, I mean, later on, if we talk about automation nowadays is not just Selenium. It's a combination of Selenium plus UI plus API plus mobile plus DevOps. And these things, it's not like you'll be learning in 2-3 months. So down the line, once you are comfortable with Selenium, then you add the mobile automation part, then you add the API automation part, then you add this DevOps part. So this is a incremental development process. So down the line, if you are in automation for 1-2 years, you'll be practically using all these things. And now if you stuff your resume, your project with all these things, then you yourself can see the weightage that your resume will gonna have. That is how you'll be able to justify your practical experience in automation. Right? So yeah, we have dedicated courses available for all these things. But yes, before you start with all these things, you first will be building up your base using Selenium. So if your base is solid build up, then you can add on these things easily. Then it is not going to take much time. So major time you have to invest in learning Selenium. Right? Okay.
Cucumber.
Yeah. Any question?
Cucumber.
Cucumber is a framework. So Cucumber, like we have data driven, we have page objects. Same way we have Cucumber BDD. So BDD is basically an approach where we generally write feature files, we write stories in English, a plain English language, and then we map that English language to some code. Right? We create steps, we create step definition, and then we run it. And we integrate our Selenium with it. Right? So this can be integrated with API part, this can be integrated with the mobile part, and this can be integrated with the UI part. So this will remain same. Like if we talk about TestNG, you can use with Selenium, you can use with APM, you can use with REST assured. TestNG will remain same. TestNG basic concepts will remain same. Right? So, and not only this, like after going through this content that I've shared over here, the next thing that you could follow in case you want to like get some more expertise on the framework designing part. So I've created a dedicated course which is called as Automation Architect Selenium 7 Live Projects. So this course is dedicated only for the framework part. If you know Selenium, you want to practice more around the framework, around the live projects, then you can, this is a very huge, very detailed course, right? Which is covering 7 different projects using data-driven, using page object model, then page factory, then you're going to see a usage of Cucumber BDD designed from scratch and integrated all your page objects. And then the next level of page object model using some Java generics concepts, some multi-threading concepts. So this is a very next level of framework designing you're going to find over here. But before you come to this level, the first level you have to crack is you need to build a solid base around like the frameworks that we'll be discussing in this live sessions and the basic Selenium, like the basic automation part. This much should be very much clear. Then only you can follow that automation architect. And once you study that complete frameworks, then it's not like you will not be able to answer anything related to live projects, frameworks, and interview. You should be able to answer the questions easily. Right? But yes, these things requires practice. You need to bring Selenium in your habit a daily basis. At least half an hour, 1 hour, you need to practice something around automation. It's very, very simple. Like if I try showing you some example on Selenium. So to get started with Selenium, the very first thing that is required is there's a very simple prerequisite. You need Eclipse to write the code. You need Java as in JDK, Java Development Kit. And the minimum version that is required is 11, which is the most stable version, which even I am using. And you can use the latest one as well, but I don't recommend you to use latest version because you may gonna face a little bit conflict while using these things with the latest version. So the most stable one is Java 11. So use Java 11, use Eclipse, and then the Selenium API. So API as in if you are using Selenium in Java, then this is available in a form of a jar file. So what is jar file and what is an API? Before we start accessing these things, we first need to understand what exactly is an API. So we are saying that it's an API, it's a framework. What exactly is a framework? What is an API? What do we have inside this? Anyone who will tell me what is an API?
So interface between two components.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Programming interface, some interface that has methods and classes.
Correct. Application programming interface. It's a full form, and it's a collection of classes, methods. It's a complete code which is written in some programming language. It could be any programming language. API. It's not like it is developed only in Java. It cannot be developed in other languages. It could be in any language. A project which contains of many functionality, and then when we are using that, consuming that functionality in some other project, it becomes an API for that project. So API, it's not like it is only related to web services where we do API testing. Those are also APIs, but API itself is a huge term which consists of so many things. So let's practically understand it. Let's say I'll take a very simple example, which I generally take in all my sessions. So let's say I'm a Java developer and I work with some xyz.com. So here I got a task to design a calculator. Now, as a Java developer, if I want to design a calculator, in a calculator, we can add something, subtract, divide, and multiply. These all things we can do in calculator. So if as a developer, if I have to design a calculator, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating class. Yeah. Any question? So let me, Chris, there's a background noise coming from your end. Sure. Thanks. So let's say I'll be creating a class with the name as calculator. So I hope everyone knows what a class is. At least I'm not saying that you have practically created a class. If you have never studied Java programming, then still you might have heard about there is something called as a class.
Yeah, sir, it's a blueprint.
Correct. Okay. So yeah, that is the only level of knowledge that is required right now. So I am not expecting that you know everything what is inside class and all these things. These things will be cleared in the core Java sessions. So still, is there anyone who has never heard about what is a class? Because in order to understand what exactly is Selenium, we should be knowing at least what a class is, what we have inside class. So I can assume everyone knows what a class is. If you don't know, don't worry about it. Just try to digest it as it is, right? Because you're not going to start with programming from day one. So you'll be moving to the Java sessions from next weekend, and there your base will be built up, and then you'll be starting with Selenium. So whatever code that I'm going to write today, just try to understand it as it is. Don't think that this is a very difficult code. How will I write it? Don't worry about it. These things will be covered in Java basics. These are very, very basic concepts. So we are just going to understand what level of coding that is required. So let's say I've created a class named as calculator. What do we have inside class? What do we have it?
Add, sub,
Variables and methods.
Variables and methods. Correct. So methods as in what all functionality that I need to write. I need to create addition, subtraction, division. I'll be creating these in a form of a function inside this class. Now, function in Java is called as method. Function, method, both are same thing, right? So I'll be creating a method name as add, and inside this, I'm going to write some code. So when I call this function, when I call this method, it is going to add some numbers. Same way, I'm going to create subtract, I'll create divide, I'll create multiply, and so on. So one by one, I'll keep on creating these methods, and I'm going to create the complete calculator project. Now, let's say I've created the complete project and I've written code inside all these methods. I want to test whether this addition method is working fine or not. So what I'll do, I'll be calling this addition method from this calculator class. So how to call a method from a class? How we call it?
Using
Creating an object of that class.
Creating an object of a class. What is the syntax to create an object of a class?
Yes, sir. Class name.
With the new keyword, we can create the object.
Class name, and after that,
Yeah. Object name
object name,
equal
obj
equals new
equal to new
and class name.
class name. This is how we create an object of a class. This is the syntax. And how to call a method from the class?
obj dot.
Obj
Object name
dot
dot method name.
Dot operator. Yeah.
method name, right? If I run this much code, whatever that is written in addition method will be executed. If I want to call subtraction, I'll say obj dot subtract, then obj dot divide, then obj dot multiply. This is how I'll be calling methods one by one, and I'll be executing each and every functionality that is written inside this class, right? So, but before we call any method, we first need to create an object of a class. This is what the syntax of creating object. Now, what is an object inside this statement? You said to create to call a method, we need to create an object. What is an object in this statement?
Instance to class.
Yeah. Instance of a class.
Instance of a class. So what is where is the instance created in this statement?
Yes, sir. OBJ.
OBJ is an object.
No, it's a reference variable.
It's a
New
reference.
basically help us to create an
New calculator.
New calculator. Is this an object? Is this creating an instance of a class?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what is this then? What is this calculator?
A class
Base
name.
class.
Base
And
class?
the type of the object.
Type.
Is,
Type
is
of the
the,
object?
Yes.
Is it type? Is
Type
it
of the object.
okay? What is this?
Reference variable.
Reference variable. What is this?
Assignment operator.
Assignment operator. What is this?
New
This is the keyword.
What is this?
This is the method.
Method.
Is it a method?
Yeah. The main
this was
method.
a constructor.
This is a constructor.
Constructor.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, constructor.
And this whole thing's create an object, right? Okay, so like we're gonna see all these things practically as well. So what happens is right now we're writing the code in Notepad. So previously we used to write Java code in Notepad, but now many editors are available in the market with artificial intelligence. If we are not good in coding, these editors helps us a lot while writing code. So if we make any mistake, these editors provides us a lot of suggestions. If there are 100 methods inside a class, we need not to learn all the methods. We simply put a dot and it gives us list of all the methods. We can simply choose the methods from there and we need not to learn all the methods. So some editors are paid, some open source like IntelliJ is there, NetBeans is there, Eclipse is there. Eclipse is the most widely used editor in the industry. We'll be using Eclipse itself. It's completely open source, no license required to work on Eclipse. But a prerequisite is that you need to have Java available on your machine. So where you're gonna get Java? First of all, you will be going to control panel and you'll be checking if you already have Java installed on your machine. Because Java is actually required by some softwares as well. So if you have ever installed Java, you'll be able to see Java over here. See, I'm having Java Development Kit 11. If you have anything latest one, like 21, 22, then you can try uninstalling it because it may not work with all the integrations that we're gonna do in future, right? Java 11 is most stable. You can use 11, you can use 13, you can use 17, right? But I myself is using 11. I'm not facing any issues. This is the most stable version that I can see. So if in case you want to install this, what you need to do, just go to Google and simply type download JDK 11. From this website, Oracle website, you first need to create your account. It will not directly gonna allow you to download it. You need to create a simple free account of yours. So what you'll be doing, see Java is any questions? Chris, there's a background noise from your end. Yeah, thank you. So like Java is available for different operating system. If you're using Linux, Mac, Solaris, Windows. If you're using Windows, then this is 64-bit installer. You need to download this exe file. It comes as a exe file. So you click on this and select this download. It may ask you to sign up, see login. So just create your account over here. Click on create account, create your account, and the exe file will be downloaded. This should be very simple and straightforward. And installation
Rahul, I
again.
have a question.
Yeah.
So currently we are using 20 JDK 21 for RPM class. So do I need
Okay.
to download
JDK
JDK?
21, that's fine. I mean, if you have 21 as well, you can keep that. No need to uninstall it. So later on, if you may face any issues while any integration, then we'll think of uninstalling it. So till that time, just keep on using JDK 21. Don't need to uninstall it.
Okay, got it. Thank
Right. So if you are starting from scratch, then you can have this Java 11 downloaded. So download this exe file. Installation is very simple. Just double click next. It gets installed on your machine. Right. During the installation, it's going to generate some folders inside the C drives, program files. You'll see a folder of Java over here. So you open this, you get this JDK. This is JDK 11. And your Java is inside this bin folder. This is where you'll find your Java. Now you need to do some configuration in order to configure this Java globally on your machine. And then you need to configure some system environment variables. So there are some steps that you need to follow. You need not to write it right now because everything is being recorded. So after the session, if you want to configure Java, then you can go through this recording and you can configure it on your machine. So what you need to do is simply go to start and type edit. And from here, you'll see edit the system environment variables. Click on this. Click on environment variable. You'll see one user variable, one system variable. Go to system variable, create new, and type a variable name saying Java underscore home and paste the path of this JDK folder. Just paste it over here. Click on OK. You'll see Java home variable created, which is holding the address of this particular folder. Now, you need to find one path variable over here. This is the global path variable. You'll find it on your environment variables. Click on edit. You'll see so many things already configured over here. By default, you'll not be doing any edit or delete in these things because these are your crucial system settings. Your system 32 and other softwares you may have installed might add these things in the environment variable. So you should not be deleting it. Otherwise, it may interrupt your existing running program, might corrupt your Windows as well. So don't do any changes over here. Just what you need to do, simply click on new. At the end, type percentage Java underscore home percentage. This will bring this variable value, the path that you have written. It's going to come over here. And then where is Java? In this path, Java is inside the bin folder. So what do you need to do? You write \bin, and that's it. Java is successfully configured. Like I already did over here. I'm not going to redo it. So I'll just be deleting it. Click on OK, and Java is successfully configured. Now open up command prompt to check your Java version. Just type Java -version, and you should be able to see your current version of Java. So Java is successfully configured. This is the only step you need to do. Now you'll be downloading Eclipse where you'll be writing the Java code. So simply go to Google and say download Eclipse. Go to Eclipse download. And here you'll not be directly clicking on this download because this may gonna give you some exe installer and then you need to choose a different component. So don't do it from here. Go to download packages. Here you're gonna see a lot of components of Eclipse. So Eclipse is not just supported by Java. You can write C, C++ code, PHP code, Ruby, Python. These languages are also supported by Eclipse. So we'll be using basic component. We'll be downloading the very first component that is ID for enterprise Java and web developers. And based on your Windows, Mac, Linux, you need to download this. So this comes as a zip file. See, when I'm doing a mouse over in my status bar, it is showing as a zip file. This is somewhere around 531 MB zip file that you need to download. Once you download the zip, I've already downloaded it. It's gonna come like this. This is a zip file. Just need to extract this. You get a folder like this. Just open this folder. You'll see Eclipse folder and you'll see all these files. Nothing installable in Eclipse. You get this application, double click on it and it will launch your Eclipse. If Java is not installed, you're going to get an error over here itself. Now, the very first thing, it's showing you to select a directory as workspace. Now, workspace is basically a location where you'll be maintaining your project. You'll be writing the code, storing it at some location. That is what your workspace is. So I generally give the workspace with a batch name. So I'm going to name this batch as batch August 2024 Selenium and click on launch. So this is going to launch Eclipse, my workspace. And then what we need to do is we need to understand what exactly is an API. So as a developer, we are creating a calculator project in which we are doing addition, subtraction. So we actually need to design all these things in our Eclipse project. So let the project opens, let Eclipse opens. It's taking some time. It's opening. So when Eclipse open for the very first time, it shows your welcome screen. Just close it. This is what your Eclipse is. You can close this thing as well. So this is where you'll be creating a new project, creating classes. Here you'll be writing some code. Here you're going to get the output of that code. So what we'll do, we'll create a new project. We'll simply say create a project. And here we'll be selecting a Java project from the template. Click on next. Yeah, you can use IntelliJ as well. It's completely your choice. So if your organization is using IntelliJ, you can use IntelliJ. Right. So here you need to give the project name. So it could be any name. We are creating calculator. So I'm going to name it as Calci project. So I'll say Calci project. And make sure you are selecting the Java version that you have on your machine. So I'm having 11. I'll be selecting 11. Uncheck this create module info. Just remove this, otherwise you may face some challenges while writing the code. So click on finish. Click on open. And this is where your Java project created. These are some internal libraries of Java which are mapped to your project. This is the SRC folder where you'll be writing the code, creating classes. So you just right click over here and say new and select class. So we need to create a calculator project. We'll be creating a class with the name as calculator with a capital C. Class name always starts from a capital letter. And then we'll be selecting this public static void main. Click on finish. And here you'll see a sample code showing. So now here you see something like in reddish color, something in black color. These are comments. I'll just remove them. So these reddish colors are some predefined keywords. Like we have public, private, protected. These are called as access modifiers or access specifiers. We have static, non-static. We have return types, void, int, string. What are these things? You need not to worry about it right now. We have one lecture on all these topics in core Java. So we'll be discussing about these things in detail once we start with the Java part. For the timing, this whole thing is a class. This is a main method. By default method in Java, to execute anything, you need to write it inside this method. This is a method body. Anything you want to execute in Java, you have to keep it inside a main method. Like before we start with any programming, what we do, we print something. If we talk about printing, how do we print in C? Anyone knows how we print in C?
System dot out dot print.
In C. I'm talking about C, language C.
Printf.
Printf, correct.
Printf.
C++?
Don't know about it.
Sorry, how we do it?
Don't know, sir, about
I think it is only print.
In C++. Print is in Python. In C#, we write console.writeLine.
System.out.println, I think.
And in C++, we write C in Cout. Cout is for printing. And in Java, yes, we write system.out.println to print anything. And in double quotes, we print any string values like hello world. And this is the run button. You simply click on it and see hello world executed. This is how we get started with Java. Very basic programming, how to print anything. Right? But we are not here to print hello world. We are here to understand what is an API. For that, we are creating a calculator. Calculator like consists of various methods. So very first method, I'll be creating it as add, and I'll start the method name with a small letter. So why small letter? I can start it with capital letter as well. So that should not matter, right? But there is some coding standards that we need to follow in Java. There is something called as camel casing. So what that camel casing is? In camel casing, let's say we have a word which consists of 3 words. Let's say the dark night. Now, if I write it all together like this is not very much readable. In order to make it readable, if it is a class name, it always starts with a capital letter. And then any combining word will be in caps. The dark night, like this. Same way, if I write this as a method, so method starts with a small letter. Any joining thing will be in caps. Like this. Right? So this becomes more readable. And this is in a form of a camel. So this is what is called as camel casing. So next time when you read any developer's project, you should be able to understand this is a method and this is a class. Right? Because everyone in the industry follows the same pattern. Even if you take a look at the Selenium repository, the official repository, you'll find the code is written in the same way. Classes with a capital letter, methods with the small letters. And anything joining is in caps. So we'll be following this, we'll be doing the same practice, right? So method name to start with small letter, class name to start with a capital letter. And inside this, I'm going to write some code which is going to add some numbers. Now, right now, we have not studied much Java, so we may not know how to add numbers, how to write a code for that. So what we'll do, we'll simply print something. We'll say adding some numbers. So what happens is when you call this addition method, it's just going to print it, adding some numbers. Same way, I'll be copying this. I'll create some more methods. So after add, I'll say subtract. This will be subtracting some numbers. Then divide. This is going to divide some numbers. Then multiply. And this is going to multiply some numbers. And so on. Let's say I've created all the methods. Now I want to call this addition method from this calculator class. How will I call it? I'll be writing that code inside the main method. What code? We have already written over here. We'll be creating an object of a class. Just copy this, paste it over here. See, no errors. In case of OBJ, I can even write calc. No errors. Errors in the sense, if I write calculators over here, you can see now this is highlighted with red color. Now Eclipse is not able to understand what this calculator says. If you do a mouse over, it's going to give you some suggestions. See, it is saying it cannot be resolved to a type. So this thing is actually called as a type, right? So it's saying either create a class as calculators, but why should we create calculators? We have calculator as a class. This is change to calculators. Click on this, change to calculator, right? So this is a type. Now if I say calc dot, it will show me list of all the methods inside this class, like method addition, method division, method multiplication, subtraction. So I can call these methods one by one. I'll run this. You'll see adding some numbers. Same way, I'll say calc dot subtract, calc dot multiply, calc dot divide, and I'll run this. You'll see everything executed successfully. Right? So this is how we create an object of a class and we call methods one by one. Now, I'm going to create one more method which is having a same name as of the class name. What we call it as? A method having a same name as of the class name.
Method overloading.
No.
Constructor.
Constructor.
Correct. So this is the constructor. What are constructors? What are constructors, by the way? We have constructors in C++ as well. What are constructors?
It will be same as the class name.
Mm-hmm.
And we can make use of that to declare the variables.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Used to initiate.
Whenever the class, it is the first, whenever we create the instance of the object, then it is the first one which gets executed, the constructor.
Correct. Any more answers?
I think constructor don't have return value.
Correct. They don't have return types.
Yeah.
Right. So constructors are like a method only. And they have got a same name as of the class name. And they are called in the very beginning as soon as you create an object of a class. They're the first thing that is called as soon as you create an object of a class. Like I'm saying, this is like a method only. Method as in I can write some code inside this as well. I can say calling constructor. Now, how will I call this method? Should I go over here and say calc dot calculator? See, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it in the list. Because this is not a method. I cannot call it like explicitly like we're calling this method. Even if you're not calling this method, as soon as you're creating an object, you run this, the very first thing that will automatically be called is the constructor. As soon as you create an object. Right? So let's come back to the same question we were discussing. What is an object in this statement? So what is an object? Some people say that calc is an object. Is calc an object? If I remove this, this is still a valid statement. See, there are no errors. Is calc an object?
No.
Calculator is the object.
See, if calc is an object, and if I run this, then what will happen? The constructor should be called. If this is an object, if you're creating an object, as soon as you create an object, constructor is called. So if I run this, will the constructor be called or not?
No.
No.
No, right? So if I run this, see, nothing called. Right? Now let's do one thing. Let me remove this. See, still it is a valid statement, no errors. Now if I run this, will the constructor be called or not?
Yes, it will be called.
Yes.
Will it be called?
Yes.
Let's run this. See? So this is where the object is created. So if this is creating an object, then what is the need of this calc? Why we need this calculator calc?
In order to call the method, we need reference variable.
In order to call the methods, in order to call addition, division, we need that calc. Without calc, we cannot call addition, division. Correct?
Yes, yes.
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 Can we call addition without calci?
No.
No.
Yeah, we can call, but not outside the class.
Not outside the class means? I mean, in this class, can we call addition without calci?
If it is
No,
declared,
it is not a
then
static method. So we
if it
cannot
is a
call.
static method, then we'll be able to call that.
Sorry?
If it
It
is a
is not a
static,
static method, so we cannot call.
I'm
Sorry.
not talking about static. No static, only non-statics. Can I call it?
No, we cannot call without
No, without
instantiating the
reference
object.
variable, we
cannot
cannot call.
Okay.
How about if you put dot at the end of the calculator, dot to call the method?
Correct. We can call it, guys. See, new calci dot add. New calculator dot add. And if I run this, you'll see addition is called. We can still call it, right? Now, what if I want to call division? How will I call it?
.div.
Should I again write .div over here?
No, you need to
Again,
create new calculator.
new
Dot.
calculator dot divide. New calculator dot subtract. New calculator dot multiply. So it means in order to call 4 methods, I need to create 4 different objects. See, 4-time constructors are called. Now, what if I want to call 100 methods? Will I be creating 100 objects? No. I want only one object to be created in the memory, and all the methods should be referred from the same object reference. So what I did, wherever the object is created in the memory, I just store the address of that object in some variable. Variable name could be anything. I can give ABC, XYZ, any name. I generally give it a meaningful name, so I'll name it as calci. Now, every variable must have some type in Java. Like if I'm storing a value 100 in a variable value equal to 100, what is going to be the type of this variable?
Integer.
Integer, like int. Can I store it inside string? Can I say string?
No.
No.
Because strings are always written in double quotes. Like if I want to store my name, I cannot store it inside int. It will always be inside string. No other data type. I cannot store it in Boolean. Now, if I talk about string, what exactly is string? What is string in Java?
Collection of character.
It's a class again. String is a class.
String is a class. Correct. String is a data type as well as it is a class, right? So if string is a class, then what is value? What is value here?
Variable name.
It's a reference variable. So if we say value dot, it will give us all the methods inside the list string class. See, all these methods having string. Same way, when we are storing some string values, we can only have string type. We are storing numeric values, we can have int type. Now we are storing this object reference. What will be the type? Will it be int? Will it be string? In which type will it be stored? It will be of the same class type. So that is the reason we give this as a type. And now if I say calci dot, it will show you all the methods. And if you call the methods one by one, you'll say calci add, calci subtract, calci multiply, calci divide. And when you run it, you will see only and only one object is created and all the methods are referred from the same object reference. So this is like a very basic concept, right? Although we'll be studying all these things in the Java sessions from scratch. But the purpose here to show you this thing, because let's say I was saying that I need to develop a calculator as a developer, and let's assume I've written some 500 lines of code in this addition method with a very complex logic. Now, let's say if someone has to do addition or division, what I want, if someone wants to add some number, divide some number, he should not put that much effort again. I've already created that library. If you want to do addition division, you can access my methods. Maybe let's say I'm in India, you are in US, you are someone in UK, and you want to do addition division. I can share you my project. You need not to write the entire code from scratch. Just call my addition method and achieve that functionality. So how will I share my project with you? So what I'll do, I'll right click on this Calci project. I'll say export. I'll go to Java and I'll select the jar file. Now I'll click on next and I'll give some jar file name. I'll name it as calculator version 1.0.jar. This is the very first version of my project. And I'm going to store it, let's say, on the desktop. I'll store it on the desktop. Click on finish. Now you're going to see one jar file created. Now, should I double click on it and it will install calculator on my machine? It's not going to do any installation, correct? So what this jar file consists? This jar file consists of the classes, the methods that we have created inside this project. But if I share you this jar file, you'll not be able to see what code is written inside the addition method. But you can still access the addition method. You can still access this class, create an object of a class, but you'll not be able to see what code is written over here. Normally, when an open source project is created, open source means free of cost. Let's say I want to share this project with you. I'm not going to charge anything from you. So it's completely free of cost. It's open source. Open source does not only mean that it's free of cost. Open source means you can contribute into the development of that project as well. Now, next time some person comes, he want to enhance this project and want to create some more functionality for calculating percentage, square root, then he's most welcome. And if someone wants to use this project free of cost, he can use it free of cost. That is what open source project means. Now, I want this project to be accessed from any part of the world. So what I did, I generated a jar file and I upload this jar file on my website. So when you upload it from on the website, anyone can access your website and can download this jar file and access it in his own project, right? So now what happens is after downloading, after generating this jar file, let's say I quit this organization. I quit this xyz.com where I have created this calculator. So let us close this project. Let's close this project. Now I joined a new company, a new organization, again as a Java developer. And this time, let's say I joined some American Express Bank. So they were already having their project built up in Java. Let's assume their banking domain was built up in Java. So there was a Java project, let's say Amex project. Click on finish. So I was hired in between of that project. They already were having some classes created named as banking. And let's say there's a main method over here as well. And some methods were already created like public void, profit, public void, laws. So some functionalities were already created earlier. Now I was hired in between of this project. Now they asked me to implement a functionality that could add salaries for n number of employees. So something related to addition method I have to create over here as well. Now, if I talk about the logic of this addition method, let's assume this is similar to what I've created in my calculator project in the previous organization. Now, there are two ways I can implement it. Either I should write the entire code from scratch. I can do it. Maybe it's a 500 lines of code. It may gonna take me 1 week to write that code. But why to put that much effort when the code is already available in an open source free of cost library? So what I did, I've gone to the previous company's website. I downloaded that jar file and then I right clicked on my project, gone to build path, add external archives, and then I selected this jar file. Now you can see it is added as a reference library to my project. Now, if I expand this, you will see calculator classes there. You will see addition, division, different methods are there. Although I'm not able to see the code, what is written inside addition method, but why I'm worried about code? I'm not going to write the complete logic again. I just want to access addition functionality. How will you access it? Just by creating object of this class, by saying calculator calc equal to new calculator. And see, you are not getting any error. Eclipse is able to understand what this calculator is with the help of this jar file. If I remove this jar file, then Eclipse will throw error. It will say that create a class calculator. But this is already created, but in some third-party project. So I downloaded that third-party project and added it as a reference library in my project. And now, if I go over here, I'll be able to access the method calc dot add. See, I'm able to call the method. Let's change this method name to add salary. Add salary. Now I want to call add salary from banking class. How to call it? We'll be creating an object of banking by saying banking B equal to new banking, and then we'll say B dot add salary. And now if you run this, you will see that same code is executed. Without rewriting the code, I'm able to achieve that additional functionality in this project with the help of this jar file. So if I talk about this jar file, this is what an API is. This is an API to American Express project. If we are talking about Selenium, Selenium is one of the same thing. Selenium is available in a form of a single jar file or multiple collection of jar files. If you want to use Selenium in this project, you can easily do it. Just go to selenium.dev, and go to download. And from here, download this. You'll be downloading it from here, basically. Where is that? Latest stable version 4.23.1. Just click on it and let's see what it gives you. See, it is getting downloaded. And see what you got. A 36.2 MB jar file. That is what your Selenium is. And it is downloaded to the downloads. So let me copy this. Let me go over here and let me add it over here. Go to build path, add external archive, go to downloads, add this jar file. That's it. The way you have added calculator jar, you need to add this Selenium jar. Now, calculator jar consists of this calculator class. Selenium jar file consists of Selenium classes. Like I want to launch a Chrome browser. I want to perform some testing on it, right? So first thing is I need to launch a browser. So instead of this, what I'll do, I'm going to create an object of Chrome class, Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver. That's it. So what will happen if I run this? Let's see. See, it launched a Chrome browser. It launched a Chrome browser. Let me run it again. Let me show it to you again. See, it launches a Chrome browser, right? Just by creating an object of Chrome driver class, a browser is launched. So some developer might have written some code for it, for launching the browser, right? Maybe he has written 500 lines of code with a very complex logic. So where exactly that code is written? Where exactly that code is written? Can anyone tell me where that code is written?
Inside the libraries.
Inside the library, inside this jar file, correct?
Yeah.
So where inside this jar file? Where inside the jar file?
In Chrome driver class?
Chrome driver class, correct. Where inside the Chrome driver class?
Method.
Method? Have you called any method? Have you called any method of Chrome driver? You have not called any method.
Those are the constructor. Those are the constructor.
Correct. So as soon as you create an object of the class, the very first thing that is called is a constructor. So even if I don't write this, if I just write this and run it, as soon as the object is created, a constructor is called, and inside the constructor, there's a code written to launch the browser. Now, there was a very complex code written, but why do we worry about it? Are we going to create Selenium? Selenium is already created. Selenium is already developed. We are just calling these classes and automating our website. So as soon as we create an object, constructor is called, a browser is launched. After launching browser, whatever we need to do, we need to call a method from that class. In order to call the method, we need the reference. So let's say after launching browser, what we need to do? We need to navigate to the website. How to do that? We call the method, you put driver dot, you get list of all the methods from this class. So one of the method is get. It asks you for URL in a string format. So in double quotes, give http waytoautomation.com. Save it, run it. You'll see again a browser will be launched. And now this time it's going to navigate to waytoautomation.com. Right? And that is how one by one you keep on calling the methods and you can automate the entire website. So that is how you'll be using Selenium. So very small prerequisites. You need to have Java, you need to have Eclipse, you need to have this jar file. And now you can automate any website in the world. You want to navigate to google.com, just change to google.com, run this again. This time a browser will be launched and it will navigate to google.com. You want to get the title from this website? The title is Google. Simply type driver.getTitle, that's it. Get title. Call the methods one by one, but it's not going to print it because printing task is not of Selenium. Printing task is of Java. So in our how to print in Java? System out println.
System.out.
Put it inside system out println. Save this, run this. And you'll see the title Google is printed here. Right? So that is how one by one you'll be using it. But again, as I said, Selenium is just 25%. If you want to integrate Excel reading, if you want this website URL to be retrieved from Excel, the data that you are entering into your test cases should come from Excel, then you'll be using POI API. So what POI APIs are? Similar to Selenium, it's another Java project which is created by Apache. So there is one common website which is called as MVN repository. Here, if you want type POI, you'll see Apache POI, Java API to access Microsoft format files. Go to POI, click on this, get this jar file. You got another jar file, right? It's getting downloaded. So what you need to do, once it's get downloaded, let it download. So you just need to right click on your project, like we added Selenium jar, go to build path, go to add external library, and once it is successfully downloaded, then you got this POI, just add it. And now this consists of some classes and methods you can call and do reading writing from Excel. You want to generate logs, you go over here, search for log4j. You'll get another jar file. Go over here and select any version and bundle or jar, one of the same thing. Download it from here, and then you can add it to your project. Right click, build path, add external archives. And now you can do logging as well in your project. Not only this, you added Selenium jar file so that you can automate your website. Now, these days, frameworks are designed in such a way that you can automate your website, you can automate APIs, You can automate mobile applications, all these in one single project. You can integrate with database as well. So for database, let's say you are executing queries on MySQL. So simply type MySQL, you'll get a jar file for database connectivity through MySQL connector. And what is this? This is a simple jar file. Download this. You want to connect to APM, do mobile automation, just type APM. And you'll get this Java client for APM mobile web driver. And what is this? This is another jar file, which you'll get it from here. See jar file. You want API automation to be integrated with the same project, type REST assured. You get this Java library for testing REST web services. You got this jar file, download it. And now what you need to do, just right click on your project, go to build path, add external archives, and add REST assured, and then database connectivity, mobile APM, and then start calling their classes in the same project. You can automate UI part, you can automate mobile part, you can automate APIs, you can automate desktop applications. And then APM guys have actually created one project which is called as Win App Driver. Okay, it's not found over here. I guess it's there on their website. The jar file, you'll get it on their website if you type Win App Driver. So see, Microsoft WinApp driver. Through this is another Selenium wrapper. Through this, you can automate your desktop applications. Desktop applications, like you can open up a notepad, you can open up a calculator app, and you can automate it. So this will also going to provide you a jar file, which is, you need to search it somewhere over here. And same one jar file, you're going to get it. Similar to the code that we write for Selenium, if you look at this code, you'll see this WebDriver API is actually used over here. So they have given some of the examples over here. So how you can check element text, size, and a lot of other things are there. And this is similar to WebDriver code. All right. So you can add this in your project and you can automate desktop application. So initially we talked about what all type of applications are there. Now you can handle all these applications in one single project. That too without paying any license. So if you know Selenium, your base is developed, you can integrate all these things in one single project and you can automate all these things. So why to invest in any paid tool, which consists of only limited functionalities? That is the reason why companies are moving towards Selenium and other open source automation tools. Right? And that is why Selenium is very, very popular. But you have seen, to get started with Selenium, it is very, very simple. You just need one jar file. You need to know what all classes are there, call the method. You're not going to create this class. You're not going to create a code to launch a browser. It is already created. Just that you need to call that method. That's it. You want to get the title, call the method, get title. And for this much code, are you going to do record and play? This is very simple to write. So once we start with Selenium, you'll feel it like automating a website with Selenium is very, very simple. The challenging part may gonna come once you start with the frameworks, because frameworks is pure Java stuff. Java as in not advanced Java, the basic Java, where you will be using OOPS concepts, inheritance, polymorphism, all these things we will be using while designing the framework. And for that, you first will be going through the core Java basics, and then you will be moving on to the Selenium part, right? And for the students who have already completed the Java part, we'll be starting the Selenium from next weekend, same time. And students who have recently joined, you guys will be starting with the core Java next Saturday, same time, right? So both classes will gonna run parallelly only, right? So it's not like you'll be joining Java and Selenium both on the same day, right? You cannot do that. So either you'll need to do Java first and then Selenium, or if you want, if your little bit of Java basic concepts are developed, then you can even skip the Java part and watch Java recordings during the weekdays and attend the Selenium part in the live session. Otherwise, once you finish up with Java, will automatically be moving to the Selenium part. Right? So that's what Selenium is. Selenium is not a tool. It is set of libraries, project, framework, or an API. Right? And that is what all we have to cover in our today's introductory session. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's session and have not got bored.
Sir, one small doubt I have. Can I
Yeah.
ask? Like in your previous video for 3 dot or earlier previous version, so in order to call the like open the browser, we have to set the system dot set property.
Absolutely. That is no more required after Selenium 4.6 version. So now we don't need to provide any Gecko driver, Chrome driver, or web driver manager. We don't need to use any system.set property. So all these things were launched recently in Selenium 4 after 4.6. Yeah.
Can I ask if you're going to integrate Cucumber with this framework?
Sorry?
Will you be integrating Cucumber in this board?
Cucumber, we'll be covering it in the API live session. So here in these sessions, we'll be doing page objects and data-driven and keyword-driven approach. Because in 3.5 months, it is very difficult to cover all the topics. But yes, as I mentioned, that Cucumber entirely for Selenium is also covered if you go through these video libraries. So I have created a dedicated course on Cucumber as well. So even if you're going to find it over here, after page objects, you'll see Cucumber BDD, complete integration is done. So this is for the Selenium part itself. And these are my recordings only. So you'll be able to see it over here, as well as there's a dedicated course designed only on Cucumber. So you'll be able to cover it from here as well. And rest, once we start with the API batch, we'll be covering Cucumber in the live sessions as well. So Cucumber remains same whether you use it with API. In API, it is just like you're adding a REST assured jar and you're adding a Cucumber jar. That's it. No matter you use Selenium jar with Cucumber, you use REST assured jar with Cucumber, Cucumber will remain same. Whether you use it with UI automation, you use it with API or mobile automation, it remains same.
Rahul, I have a question. So, do we need to attend the Saturday class and Sunday class, right? So, will you
Saturday, Sunday, both days.
meeting?
Like we are starting
Okay.
from next Saturday, this batch. So classes will be both Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Can you please send us the meeting invite?
Yeah,
Or do we need
during
to
the coming week, by Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll be getting all the meeting invites, WhatsApp groups, everything on your registered mail ID.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, one more ask Rahul. When it says Selenium Java, sometimes we hear Java Spring Boot. Java
Spring Boot is a different thing. Spring Boot is a different framework. So at times, I've seen very less companies who are specifically in automation using Spring Boot, but like normally you're not gonna find it in all the organization. In many jobs, you'll find Spring Boot being used. It's a separate framework. So even, if you see Spring Boot, we have covered it over here as well. So we have dedicated training done earlier on Spring Boot, but now we don't find many much demand for Spring Boot. If you go down over here, you'll see this Spring Boot. It's complete course dedicated to Spring Boot. So we want to go through all this architecture. You can go through it.
Is there any cost for test containers?
Sorry?
Any cost for test container?
Test container, sorry, I didn't get that.
Whether we have any cost for test containers?
No, the test container is not there. Test container course is not there.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I asked a question like from this particular batch, you said like from the next week we started from the basic from the Java and then the Selenium.
Yes.
This is okay. So
Yeah.
first we covered the Java part.
You'll cover the Java part and then you'll be moving to Selenium.
Oh, thank you.
Right. Okay. Any more questions? Otherwise, we are good to wind up the session. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session today.
So, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, guys. So yeah, I'll be sharing this recording soon. Once it is processed, I'll be uploading it to the website, to the portal as well. So the recording, you're gonna find it over here in this course, 4.0 Core Java Live Training. Once you logged in, you're gonna find it. I'll be creating a new section over here with the current patch, and then I'll be uploading it over here. Till that time, in case you want to go through the previous batch recording, same session is over here, day 1 introduction to Selenium 4. The same session, you're gonna find it over here as well. Sure. Thanks, Devi. All right. So thanks a lot, guys. Thank you everyone for joining in. I'll hope to see you next weekend. So till that, if you guys have any questions, any queries, you can reach out to me on this mail ID, like all the information given on the website. So this is my official mail ID. You can either reach out to me on this, and this is my WhatsApp number. So WhatsApp, you can even WhatsApp me on this particular number, right? So yeah, that's my personal WhatsApp number. So any doubts, any questions you have, you can directly reach out to me. All right. So thanks a lot, guys. Thank you all for joining in. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.